Thank you for listening. If you want to know more about us and our services, please visit our website at www.wsk9co.com.
Today we're going to talk about the energy, E for energy, of dogs. And the reason why I wanted to talk about energy was because I got a phone call today. And the phone call went something like this. I need to have a dog trainer come in because my dog has way too much energy, and we've done everything that we possibly can, and he's still biting, and we get him out like 4 times a day, and we just can't tire our dog out. And that's a very common statement of, I can't tire my dog out. And so energy in a dog is mostly what we create in it. Obviously, just like people, some people have more energy, or some people can do more. Some people are nappers, So obviously, there's dogs that have more energy, but what we do as dog owners on trying to burn energy actually can make it worse. So, Michelle, tell me a little bit about your dog's energy versus endurance.
Well, my dogs, I think all 3 of them have completely different energy levels and completely different endurance levels, actually. Everything from Prudence, who would much rather stay on the couch all day and sleep, but yet if you want to take her hiking, she probably will actually go farther than the other 2. She will keep up with you, and she loves it. Rambo's he's pretty hyper. That's probably the best word for him. But he has really good endurance, but his are like in short spurts. Everything about him is really, really excited, and then fine, we'll just go hang out on the couch. Where Murphy, I feel like, is probably in the middle of both of them, and he can go forever, but he never really gets that hyper.
Yeah.
He definitely gets excited and stuff over stuff, but not, he never gets like the zoomies and stuff like that.
Yeah. How do you handle what we're calling energy? Do you get them out?
I think my version of energy and other people's version of energy are going to be 2 different things, because I feel like my dogs are pretty level in that way. Because none of them are really like over the top hyper, but I think that is just because I'm not.
Right.
I don't create that energy, and I never have.
Yep.
Of course they get excited and stuff, but like my level never really changes. So comes back down to where I'm at.
Right. Yep. So when I have people that are, saying I can't exercise my dog enough to get the energy out of them, what's your thoughts on that statement?
I have a couple of first thoughts that come into my head. The first one is, you're probably not letting your dog rest enough, which is creating an anxiety in them.
Yeah.
Which is coming off as that they're still hyper, and in all reality, they probably really just need to go take a nap.
Yeah.
Or how long have you been taking this dog out 4 times a day because now he expects it?
Right.
And you created that.
Right. And that's the biggest thing. I had one client that she taught her dog to run on the treadmill, which is it's not a bad thing. It's not my thing, and I don't necessarily agree with it. We can talk later about that. But this Doberman went from, running on the treadmill for like a half hour to him getting on the treadmill and barking for it to be turned on. And he would go 10 to 20 miles running on that treadmill because he thought that's what was supposed to happen. And they didn't know any different. And they just thought he just had so much energy that he needed to burn it off. And he became worse and worse and worse. And that's what happens if we don't have balance. And so you should never feed off of energy and take it as we need to tire our dog out, because I think, Michelle, that's just it, is we look at energy as an opportunity to train and to settle and to help them know what to do with it, and that the energy that we feel like needs to be exercised is typically energy that needs to be released through napping. Shannon, what, with Louis, what is, define his energy?
Louis is a couch potato of a dog compared to other dogs that I've had. He has like little bursts of energy at times of the day when normally exciting things happen. So, for example, he's been home all day by himself and everyone comes home from work, and that's an exciting energy thing. Usually we just have certain times that we normally play a game with him, and so we'll have energy at those times of day. He mostly likes to, do something for about an hour and then sleep for the rest of the day. But I do notice that if he starts being, I don't want to say aggressive, if he plays harder than normal, if he's more excited than normal, that's my clue that he needs to go take a nap, because he is more rough in his playing if he's tired or hungry.
So, Michelle, what's your advice overall as far as a balance in energy versus exercise versus training versus sleep? I mean, what does that look like?
Well, I think my advice for probably every podcast that we've ever done and probably ever will be is, before you get a dog, think about what your lifestyle is and finding the right dog for you. And once you have that dog, I think you should live your life the way that you want the dog to live, not the other way around. And I think that should start from puppyhood. I think a lot of people, for some reason, have this thought in their head that puppies have to go out for 3 walks a day. Like, they have to.
Yeah.
And to me, that's so unrealistic if that's not who you are.
Right.
You're not going to stick to that when that dog actually needs it. When it does hit, when it can keep up.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm all for training for your life, not for your dog's life.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it's not natural for us as human beings, unless you're just a fitness buff or a fitness instructor, that we don't exercise all day long or 3 times a day. It's usually once a day you get your exercise in, and then everything else is balanced out, from proper sleep to proper eating to, proper stimulation of whatever that is that you don't really consider. Like, for me, I don't consider horseback riding exercise. I mean, it is, sure, I'm using muscles and being active, but it's not exercise. And so I think that having a balance of exercising your dog, you should, and then proper feeding, proper sleep time, proper mental stimulation is more important to balance out the energy than to feel like you have to burn energy in a dog, because their runner's high, if anybody's out there has ever gotten a runner's high, is 40% higher than what ours is. And so they'll Jones for more, just like we as human beings. That's what keeps us running. If you're a runner, is you get that runner's high. I've only personally discovered and felt that once, so that's kind of tells you who I am. But they feel it differently than we do, and so they'll Jones for it even if they don't need to. And so I think understanding the energy has nothing to do with how much exercise a dog actually needs, because even the kids that are active and busy and always have to have something to do and, don't want to sit on the couch. I mean, I consider our youngest, she's got a lot of energy, but because she doesn't, when she sits down to even think about watching TV, she crashes. She's out because she's going all the time. She doesn't like to just sit. And so, she doesn't exercise. She's not out there pounding the pavement and trying to burn that energy. It's just doing something that's productive. And I think that's an important way to look at it. But Michelle, I really like, what you said is if a dog has that kind of energy, that they're probably not getting enough sleep. And you, Shannon, with Louis, if he's too rough, it's not that you need to go out taking him for a 2-mile walk or hike, it's that he needs to take a nap. And I think that that's what we forget, is it's really more about helping them sleep so that the energy is more productive and that it's softer and that it's something that we can work with.
Sometimes, this is more on the other end of the spectrum, energy can be from boredom of the mind, though. They don't have to go running and running and running. They need something to do with their mind. So you have to find a job for them to do, like around your house, or a game to play that's not a big physical exertion, but entertains them so they're not bored.
Yeah, and I just over and over see, and Michelle, you doing a lot of puppies that you see that where they feel like they need to keep them busy instead of balancing things out with them.
Happens I don't know anybody now that I'm thinking of that I go to a puppy lesson that they're not like, how long should I be walking? Should I walk in? How many times? I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
I mean, even with training, I think I like do a training lesson in the morning before breakfast or during breakfast instead of taking them out for a walk. Like that's going to tire them out way faster mentally, as Shannon was just saying, than taking them out for a walk. I don't think people understand like the growing puppies, like it's actually really hard on them. They don't keep up as well as we do.
Yep.
I mean, just like babies don't, right?
Yep.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Babies need more sleep, so do puppies.
Yep.
Also, when you were talking about the runner's high, which I totally understand. I'm not a runner anymore, but I used to be, and I loved that runner's high. But I think when you get that, I mean, it makes you crash even harder.
Right.
And people don't realize that if their dog is getting 4 times the amount of that like adrenaline that we're getting, they're crashing 4 times harder than we are as well.
Right.
And they need to go home and rest.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, it's really good, Michelle, is people will take their dogs into doggy daycare because their dog has so much energy when they get home, and they don't have the energy because they've been working all day to do anything with it, and that's it's just not how it is. So how would you help or direct people if they're using a doggy daycare to burn energy?
Well, being that I used to work in a boarding facility that offered a daycare, I would say, and we could never have more than 17 dogs in the rooms that we had.
Mm-hmm.
One of those dogs is burning off physical exercise in there. One. The rest of them are definitely doing more of a mental thing, but it's a mental thing for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Think about doing like math for 8 hours,
Right.
or having to like socialize in a situation that you're not even 100% comfortable in for 8 hours.
Right.
With people you don't know, you just met. Like it.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind that when people are like, my dog is so exhausted, you must have like played fetch with him all day. That is not what is going on in daycares. It is not.
Yep. Yeah. So how do we balance that? How do we use a daycare productively? Boarding/daycare.
So I think it is important, especially if you go on vacations and stuff, your dog knows what that situation, like knows and feels comfortable being in those scenarios. So with puppies, I always tell people, take them once, see how they do. And it depends really on the boarding place. Some places will offer half days.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, I will recommend that to anybody if you can do your dog just for a couple hours.
Yep.
Get them used to that environment before you go on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to like not support daycares because I think there are some that are really good and some that aren't, and there are definitely ways to use them correctly and ways not to. But
yep, I agree.
But I also think that there's a lot of people doing damage.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So, there's some things that come to mind for me with the doggy daycares and using them as boarding versus a way to burn energy. And I think there's resources. There's a lot of resources out there from, what we offer in our walk-in trains where the dogs are physically and mentally being worked, and we really kind of hold them to a higher standard than a dog walker would. And so there's those types of services, but there's also, there's a dog walking, and boarding, like in-home pet care, and some of her staff takes in dogs into their home type scenarios that it's more of a group thing that they'll take them hiking and that is Loving Your Pet Health Coach here in Utah, where they do in-home pet care, but they'll also take your dog out and take them hiking with a group of dogs, so they're not necessarily just in a warehouse type scenario. There's some people that don't like having somebody come into their home, or their dog doesn't do well when they're not home, that they will stay at your house if need be. But, if you're not comfortable with that and taking him into a boarding type facility, there's places, if they are willing to, give your dog short times out into daycare and then more time in when it's quiet, when everybody else is out playing, that they can have their sleep time and balance out that day, would be the most ideal on how to use it. And getting the dog used to the place. I don't know that dogs ever get used to it. And so for me, I don't want my dog to feel like, well, sometimes we go here for that, and then I never know if you're going to leave me here. And that's just my own psychological thing. Like, if I'm boarding, I want to be honest with my dog and say, see you in 3 days. And you're here, and this is what life is going to be like, instead of, we're going to try this out, or you're going to do some half days, and then if you like it, because I don't know how our dogs would tell us if they like it, other than they didn't fight.
For me personally, at this point, if I ever had to board my dogs, it would be a traditional boarding, and they would not be with other dogs.
Yeah.
I guess what I meant by that is, I never tell people, take your dog to day camp. I never do that.
Yeah.
I guess for me, like a half a day, just to make sure that like you don't get on vacation and your dog ends up biting another dog. Like,
right.
At least
Right.
Like your dog has at least been introduced to that environment.
Sure.
And you've met the staff before you decide to drop them off.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. I will never tell people to take their dog to day camp ever. But that's what I meant by that, was take them for a half a day just to make sure that
you're comfortable with how they are.
Exactly. With that experience before you leave them for the 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my, and I'm not promoting or pushing one over others. There's a lot of in-home pet care companies. It's just who, we have relationships with, and, but the Utah Dog Park is probably one that I refer to the most. And a couple of reasons why I like them is they do have traditional boarding. So if your dog is struggling, it's not, you're screwed. Like they will put them into traditional boarding, or that they can, and they give them their time out. There's also vets on staff there. So if your dog is getting so stressed from you being out of town, there at least is somebody there that can help your dog be successful. They have several different rooms, an old dog section, little dog section, and 2 giant areas, inside outside type place. So take a tour and find out what you feel the most comfortable with, because I don't know that we would ever know if our dogs are completely comfortable at the end of the day, because I don't think they would be being gone in that situation for 3 days. But and then the Utah Dog Park also, they require fecals to be done, and they're pretty picky that way with just the overall general health. The other way that I've had people use doggy daycares is at the Utah Dog Park. You can drop them off for a vet visit, and then they can be in daycare, for that time until you can get them picked up. And that's not bad situations for, just general busy life type stuff. But if you're gone for 12 hours a day working, and you need to have a dog walker come in, make sure that dog walker is following your rules and what your expectations are with your dog, so they're not causing problems, versus at least maintaining your dog where you want them to be. Shannon, do you have anything to add?
I was just thinking that even if your dog does have fun can be stressful to you. For example, when you go to Lagoon or an amusement park, that's really fun. But at the end of the day, you've had so much adrenaline and everything, you are tired and stressed out. Would you go to Lagoon every day for the rest of your life? Do you want to put that on your dog? So even if your dog does like it, there is like a limit to how many times you should be doing it a week, even if they are successful, and some dogs should not go at all. Yeah. My dog is one that should not go at all. You know, and I've had other dogs that do better with social situations and like to go play and things like that. And I would feel more comfortable having them go, realizing how stressful it is, than the dog I have now, which I would never make do that.
I think all of us have pretty level dogs, and I don't think any of our dogs would do really well going to day camp.
Oh, Chianti's been kicked out.
That's what I'm saying. I don't like my dogs have gone because I worked
right,
there,
right.
but none of them were ever happy being there.
Yeah.
I used to, and once again, I'm trying really hard not to pick on daycares, but like being there, I like at the end of working there, I used to play a game when I was in there, like which one of you are happy?
Yeah.
Out of 17 dogs, which one of you actually wants to be here?
Yeah.
Do you know how often that ever happened that I could even find one? Not very often.
Yeah.
Even dogs that were playing, like maybe 15 minutes out of the day, I thought, oh, you're having a good time.
Right. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really not an overall healthy plan and a way to burn energy. It's really not. I've told my clients many times that one of the hardest pieces to my job is it's not the aggressive dog. It's not worrying about if I'm going to have a leg or not tomorrow. It's when I am asked to evaluate a dog in a doggy daycare, to see the amount of dogs that are just looking for the door. Is it my turn? How many dogs get super aggressive at the door because they want it to be their turn to go? Sure, they mill around. I mean, dogs are social. It's just like us going to the mall. I mean, I don't know that anybody like thrives in chaos of Christmas time shopping, but we go and, you know, we get through it and, you know, but in general, it's hard to watch that stress level, even though there's fun times. So there's a lot of resources out there, a lot of resources. I know a couple of groomers that do, it's kind of free range. They don't cage them at grooming, and the dogs do fine there, and they enjoy their day of this activity, and they do great, and it's fine. So there's a time and a place for it, and I think it all needs to be balanced out in life, just like it does for us, just like Lagoon. We're not going to go to Lagoon every day, and Lagoon is an amusement park here, and we're not going to go every day for the rest of our life. That's surely not a healthy way for our life. So I think energy should be looked at as how do you balance out your dog, and what is a balanced life for you, and how does your dog fit into that balanced life? Not my dog's so crazy and has so much energy because of the breed or because of the personality that we have to just tire them out to the point of exhaustion. And I just recently read an article about the lifespan of our dogs, and that most people own more dogs now lifespan-wise than we ever have before, where you should maybe in your lifetime own 2, maybe 3 dogs, and we're owning 6 and 7 because the overall health of our dogs. And I just wonder over time with the doggy daycares and even the dog parks that we're creating such stress that it is impacting our dogs' health, overall health on their, long-term survival. So it was a fascinating article and really made me think, because having and owning horses, I know that our 3 horses will most likely outlive Chris and I, and that Cheyenne will have those 3 horses, because that's just how they don't have short lives, even though they're giant animals. So it kind of gave me a little food for thought in thinking about the overall health of our animals, and that maybe we impact that a little bit by thinking that we have to constantly keep them going all the time. So things to think about. But Michelle, do you have anything else to add?
Nope. Just, do what you want. Make your dogs live around you. I feel like I'm a really active person, but when it's time for me to be I'm also a really big couch potato. Yeah. My dogs know that. And it's, as we were talking about this, I was like, I thought for sure you were going to ask me, what do you do when your dogs get hyper? I thought for sure you'd ask me that, and you did. And I was honestly just going to say, I don't do anything.
Right.
I tell them to go to their bed and lay down.
Yeah.
Murphy might get a tennis ball thrown in the house twice, and then I'm like, hey, you're done. Bye.
Yeah.
We're not doing that right now.
Yeah. It's all based around what your what your life is, and I like that. I like that a lot. Same with Louis, right? If he's asking for something and it's not your time to have that, it's not time, go lay down. You're not going to jump off the couch and go for a 10-mile run just to burn him out. So I think that's a really fantastic statement. It's good.
Thank you for listening. If you want to know more about us and our services, please visit our website at www.wsk9co.com. And as always, we urge you to get out and train.